Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about embracing failure. So, this is going to sound like one of those motivational speaker videos where people get up on the stage and they're like, you need to embrace this and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to really try not to sound like that, but I just want to go over some basic things that we're taught all the time in school, in TV shows, in movies. But it's the idea that a mistake can be your greatest learning tool and that you can learn from your mistakes far greater than you learn from your successes. And when I'm talking about embracing failure, I'm not explicitly talking about, going out and trying to fail and explicitly trying to stumble and fall and sort of encounter adversity like that. I'm talking about having a failure that wasn't planned. You didn't plan on failing, but it happened. Something didn't work out the way it could have, should have, would have. And taking a minute just to reflect and say, okay, why did that fail? What have I learned? If I were to do it again, what would I do differently? That's the kind of embracing failure that is quite different than, I don't know, actively knowing that something is going to fail and then just carrying out with it. I don't recommend that, by the way. If you know something isn't going to work, change the situation and try and make it work, or there's no shame in walking away. However, our horrible mistakes, our bad first dates, and everything else in between do give us a better perspective. They create confidence and they make you a stronger person. Recently, I have been getting better at dealing with people in public. And you might be thinking, what? Why would you need help with that? Well, it's very easy for me to talk on a camera and to discuss big topics or controversial issues or talk about my life. It is a completely different thing when you have social anxiety and you really don't know how to interact with people very well. You're on the autism spectrum and you also have ADD, so you have an attention problem. It is really hard for me to engage with people in public in a normal way. Usually I come off sounding like a bit of an alien, and I know that's true because a lot of times people will just take this pause and they'll sort of look at me like, what? And I know that the person is sort of trying to understand my meaning, and I'm trying to understand it too. But recently, I have started to learn from my failures and to not allow myself to just keep repeating the same mistakes. So an example of this is I will go to the gym, and at the front desk, you say hi to the person at the front desk, and they check over your account and make sure you're all good, and then they send you through into the gym. And some of the people that man the front of the gym are very personable and they make my life super easy. A few of them are not personable and are, I don't know, just maybe a little bit standoffish or something. And so I kind of struggle with this, and I kind of struggle with how these people interact and talk to me. And sometimes they'll ask me a very sort of out of pocket question, or they'll kind of throw me off in some way. And it really does throw me off, and I sort of don't know what to respond. And it's kind of like my brain's rebooting and trying to restart and trying to process what's just happened. So recently I have just gotten into the habit of not caring. I'm not going to be a failure. I'm not going to screw up this social interaction. I'm just going to do what I need to do. And so I just walk in, they check my credentials or whatever, and, I just don't say anything. And as a people pleaser and as someone who wants to have every social interaction go super smoothly, I'm fine with just walking through, not saying anything. People do it all the time, and so I'm okay with it. And this might seem like a very small thing to you, but this is bloody massive to me. This is a huge change in the way I behave and the way I interact, because I'm always trying to be the people pleaser. I'm always trying to make sure that everything is an absolute success. And I've just sort of said, no, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to just say, you know what? No, I don't have to engage. I can just sort of nod my head, smile. Like I don't have to be a jerk, but I also don't have to be this super people pleasing person. I can just go on my way. Another good example was even today, there were a whole bunch of these high school kids in the gym bathroom, like all these boys, and they were like sort of sitting like right across the sink. Like I was just kind of like, what the heck? Um, and so I was going to the bathroom and then like I was like, oh well, I need to wash my hands. And part of me was like, no, don't just like walk out. Like you don't need to like have an interaction with them or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? No. I always wash my hands. I want to wash my hands. I will wash my hands. And I just walked straight through them, like got to one of the sinks. They all moved for me. And they were probably all side-eyeing me and looking at me like, what's this guy doing? But I did what I needed to do. And I know again, this sounds so lame and so cheesy, but I was just like, you know what? I don't care. The worst that can happen is they say something stupid or they beat me up or something, and I can try and fight back. We'll see. But I was just like, you know what? I was embracing failure. I was like, even if this fails, I don't care. This is my principle. I'm not going to bend. I'm not going to people please. I'm going to embrace the idea of failure, and I'm just going to do it. So I know there were two very pathetic little stories of first world problems, but to me, they were potentially very anxiety inducing. And because I just embraced the idea of failure, like if this totally like fails or like I get called out or something, I don't care. I'm at the point in my life where if I need to do something or if I want to do something, I'm going to do it as long as I'm not interfering with other people. But I just really decided that like if the worst case scenario is not that bad. And that's a good way of how I look at it and just embrace what I'm going to do. If it fails, okay, I've learned a lesson, but 99% of the time it doesn't fail because they're just little interactions. They're just little things like this. So that's my little 2 cents for today is embrace the idea of failure. Don't worry too much about it. Always like if you're one of the people that's always looking at the worst case scenario, which is exactly what I do, basically just tell yourself like, that's really not that bad. As long as your brain doesn't spiral to like, I don't know, the literal end of the universe or something, which sometimes happens with me. But you can just say, you know what? It's not that bad. It's not as bad as it should be, or it could be, and it would be. So this is kind of a ramble, but I don't know. I was just coming off the high of embracing my failure and not being super socially awkward, or maybe I was embracing being socially awkward. And I wanted to talk about it. So thank you for listening. I hope you're having an amazing day. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.